Hi, everybody. We're on. What are you doing? What are you doing?
I honestly didn't think we were live already.
Were you playing Russian roulette with the with the starting button? All right. Hi, everybody.
So yes, today's topic: how can I change my childhood memories if I don't have any?
Yeah, that's a tricky problem. I don't know. How about you? All right. So just because you can't remember your childhood or you can't recall your childhood memories doesn't mean they're not there.
Mm-hmm.
So here's something. You know who you are. You can't remember learning anything, about your personality. You can't remember learning to walk. You can't remember learning to eat or learning to pick something up, how to pick something up. You can't remember learning your name. There's a lot of stuff you can't remember consciously, but you do it automatically because the memories are there in the background. So the conscious mind only remembers a very tiny fraction of everything that we experience. But that doesn't mean it all goes away. It's held in the subconscious. So, and the subconscious is constantly referring to that to put so that we are responding and reacting and behaving on automatic all the time. And your childhood memories are the basis for that. So and one of the reasons we brought this up is because we've had some people say, but I don't have any childhood memories. I can't remember my childhood.
And it's really it's a frustrating thing when you're trying to do this work, when you're trying to address an issue or a problem, and it's like the first question is, where in your childhood do you remember feeling that? It's like, I don't have anything there. I don't. But I know you had that experience.
That's right. Yeah. So when the very first time I worked on myself, I didn't have many childhood memories at all. I had, a handful, and they weren't anything specific. And the first time I worked on myself was it was a feeling. That's all I had was this. It was the feeling I had in the moment at the time I was working on myself. And I found this, I knew that I had that same feeling in my childhood, but there were no specific events. There was no pictures. There was no specific memories.
I think it's important to just interject in there that memories don't have to be these little pictures or little videos that we have in our head.
Yes.
I know that a feeling or a knowing is a memory as much as some little visual picture that you have in your head.
Yes, absolutely. So and here's the thing is the fact that you don't, so what we I'd forgotten, I'd lost my thread there.
I'm sorry.
No.
It was I have a program for
that. No, so I found it again. I've lost it again. What was I saying? The prompt. No. Right. You were saying about what I was talking about people. That's right. So people, we honestly, what's in this coffee? We had. So I've worked with a lot of clients who've said at the beginning of the session they've said I don't have many childhood memories, or I don't have any childhood memories even. And the interesting thing is that as we started going through the process, memories did come up, and they'd go, oh yeah, so when I was 10 such and such, or when I was 5 I know that happened. So just because you're not remembering it right now doesn't mean it can't be recalled, and it certainly doesn't mean it's there, it's not there in the background. So one of the an analogy I wanted to use, and we've used this analogy before because it is a good one, but in this context, if you imagine you've got a weed that's in your garden, you want to get rid of the weed. Now, the plant of the weed, so the branches and the leaves, that represents your memories as an adult. Okay, so these are memories that have happened to you as an adult. The roots are your childhood memories. Now, just because you can't see them because they're under the ground, beneath the surface of the ground, doesn't mean they're not there. They have to be there because they're the only way that plant is able to stand up. and continue to grow. Now, if you cut the branches off and the leaves and cut the plant down, that is like changing the memories from you as an adult. Okay, so your adult memories. Now, that's okay, and you won't see anything for a while. But the problem is if the roots are still there, it's just going to grow back. It may be in a different way. So you do need to address the childhood memories, even if you can't see them. And there's a way to do that. So you work with what you can see, first of all, and it will lead you to, it may either lead you to that and you change it when you come across it, or when you deal with this, it will change automatically. And I'm rabbiting a bit, but here we go. Notice how you know. So Robert Smith, who created Faster EFT, that's the first thing that he advises. How do you know it's a problem? So you start with that. So let's say I have, last night I did a talk and I froze. I dried. I couldn't speak. I was terrified. And so that's, how do I know I have a problem? Well, because I was terrified when I had to speak in front of people last night. Okay, so where did I feel that feeling before? Let's say the earliest one. So you go to the earliest one, but the earliest one I can remember is last year when I had to stand up and speak in front of people and I couldn't remember what I had to say. So that's the earliest one I've got. So now there's no childhood ones. I think to my child, I can't remember feeling that in my childhood. That's okay. That doesn't mean you can't do the process. Go with the one you do know. So I would go to last year rather than last night, because last year is earlier. So I would go to the one last year and I address that first. I'd start working on that. Now, while I'm working on that, childhood memory may come up. I may suddenly remember, oh yeah, there was that thing in school where I had to stand up and read in front of the class. Or I may not get a memory, and that's okay too. If a childhood memory comes up while I'm working on last year's experience, I would go to that childhood memory and change that first because it's the root. If a childhood memory doesn't come up, then I'll just change this one. And here's how it's working. So instead of just cutting the weed off, you're starting to pull. So you're pulling the weed, and as you're pulling the weed, you may see the root. If you see the root, you go to the root first and take that out and any other roots that are there. If you don't see the root, just keep pulling and the root will come out on its own. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, and using that gardening analogy, the way that I've experienced some of these memories for myself is that you can be pulling on the weed and you may find, and you think that you have the root, and,
right.
And it's like you pull it off, but it's one of those plants or it's one of those weeds that has this very kind of
spidery.
Yeah, I'm thinking like rhizomes or something. It's like where you have a central plant,
right,
and it sends out all of these runners, and you think you've got it, but the root is actually still there.
Right.
So, you're working on things and you just have to keep working on those roots. And the more you work on those, the more you keep kind of digging around for it and going at it, the more those kind of things start to come up.
Right. Yeah. And so that is really important to remember, that just because you can't remember any childhood memories doesn't mean they're not there. And it also doesn't mean you can't change them. Mm-hmm. So either they'll come up while you're working on whatever you do remember, or they will change automatically because, like the roots, they're connected to whatever you're working on. So if you need to change a childhood memory specifically because it's providing proof that is not being changed automatically, you'll remember it. It'll be brought up as, but what about this? Then you change it. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't come up, that's okay. It means the subconscious is changing it automatically. And remember the dog analogy.
And am I supposed to say, but what's the dog? What's the dog metaphor?
It's one that we've used before, and it's the way you work with the subconscious with this process is, rather than when you throw a ball for a dog, the dog, or a ball for the dog, not a bowl, a ball. When you throw a ball for the dog, you don't need to take the dog to the ball, and you don't need to keep your eye on the ball to make sure the dog gets it. The dog will get it. You could have a conversation, you could read a book, and the dog will go and find the ball. And that is like the subconscious. So you just note by noticing what's there, noticing what you want to change, that is aiming the subconscious at it. That's throwing the ball. You only need to notice it briefly once and then take your focus off it. The dog will go and fetch it, but the subconscious will go and change whatever it is that needs to be changed. So hopefully is that everything we were going to include? I can't remember.
Yeah.
I think that's it, unless there's any questions.
Yeah, I think just maybe reiterating again that memories don't have to be pictures or videos.
Yes.
They can be a feeling or a knowing that
That's
you're
right.
aiming at.
Just a knowing is enough. Yeah. And the two big things that I changed right in the early, when I very, very first started, the first one was an overall feeling from childhood. I didn't know I couldn't pinpoint any specific memories. It was just a feeling. And so I addressed that. And the second one was just a phrase. And I couldn't remember being told the phrase or anything. I just knew that was what used to be said. So it doesn't have to be specific. All right.
Right.
I think that's... And of course, join us on our Patreon site if you would like more. We do daily podcasts, we do weekly videos and weekly group sessions. So you can join us on there, ask questions, get guidance specific to your problem. And we also have live tapping sessions, so live changing memories, live in a group online. So you can join from wherever you are. We do that twice a week, and we also have a community forum where you can ask questions and get guidance and general cheerleading. And that is patreon.com/FTSR. We'll post it in the comments.
I think we have enough time here. Yeah.
Question
from Juanine.
Hi, Juanine.
A random question. What would you say is the opposite of feeling demanded? I'm trying to change a memory of feeling constantly demanded by life and myself.
Okay. And you want to know what the opposite is?
Yeah. What would you say the opposite of feeling demanded?
I would say feeling, it depends on the person. So it's going to be what's opposite for you. So for me, it would be feeling free and feeling self-sufficient. But it depends on, because, I used to have a feeling of people want something of me all the time. Now, in my case, it was I didn't want to disappoint anybody. I was worried that people would be angry with me. So in that case, it would be feeling free from that and feeling confident and self-sufficient, that I don't need to be pleasing other people, or it's not dangerous to make other people angry. But it may be different for different people. But where you want to start with that, Juanine, is where in your childhood did you feel demanded upon, that you were in demand, or whatever that is. Or
maybe before you get to that,
what's the worst
thing about feeling demanded upon?
Yeah. What's the worst thing about it, and where in your child, and how does that feel, and then where in your childhood, and change those first, and the opposite will come to you probably as you do that. Yeah. All right.
Great.
So Faster FT Fridays is today at 12 noon Central Time.
And I'm just going to do a quick shout out to our Patreon community and our new members.
Hi, everybody. Oh, and also to everybody in Oklahoma. So level 4 for Faster FT Eutaptics training is happening in Oklahoma from tomorrow for a week with Robert Smith, who created Faster FT. And we unfortunately can't be there. But so we're sad about that.
But wishing everybody all the best.
And have a fabulous time, all of you. And
should I post any?
Oh, we'll post it afterwards.
We'll post links to getting started with changing childhood memories and that kind of thing. You can always check the comments below, and anything else.
That's it.
Great. Thanks for joining us. Soon. We'll see you again next week. Bye for now.
Bye.